Ready?
Oh, then we're recording.
Recording?
Yeah.
Already?
Ooh, light it up. What did I do with that? I just had a blue card. What did I do with it?
I don't know. I thought that was it.
I know. There it is. Hey, may I?
Sorry, I got rid of
Thank you. Oh, my goodness. Well, that was convenient. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
That's right. Good evening, ladies. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
I like it.
Up my sleeve. There's nothing. Always sounds like, and for my next trick.
Yeah, you do sound a bit like a magician.
Yeah?
In a good way.
Well, I love magic.
I know.
I think the whole world is magic, so I'm fascinated when people make their own within it.
That's a cool perspective.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Ryan. Hello, everybody. Today is Tuesday, June 6th. We have a guest, Melissa Faith Ramirez, today. Hello,
Hi.
Melissa. Do you just go by Faith? How should I address you? I didn't ask that before the show.
Melissa?
Yeah, that's okay.
Whatever floats your boat.
Well, what do you prefer, love?
What do you prefer?
I don't know, but you called me love before, so apparently I slipped into that. What do you... She's like...
Melissa Faith is good.
Melissa Faith. Okay, cool. Well, Melissa Faith will be over here in just a few minutes. But before then, a little bit of business. We got some viewer mail in. FedEx arrived.
Whoa.
And it has not been opened. But we know who it's from, and it's from a mutual friend. So I figured I would save it for the show. This is from Danbury Chive.
Kazman.
From the Kazman. Let's see. Go. See what we got here. He's always good with, it's a t-shirt. He's always good with t-shirts.
Awesome.
No note. He's just like, here's the gift.
It's better. I like it.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, this is funny. I mean, they're always funny, but I want to make sure it was like, can we show it on the show? Knowing a Ghostbusters fan.
Nice. That's awesome. Because
Isn't
in the
that
second
funny?
one, right? He's not in the first one?
Correct, yeah, in 1989.
The
That was
painter.
second movie. That's very funny. That's awesome.
I
Thanks,
love
Kaz,
that.
man.
Thanks,
Love it.
Kaz.
Fabulous. Gosh darn it.
I think
It's
about
nice
that
being
movie a
loved.
lot.
Do you?
Yeah, and I always am like, that must be the second one, but I really love, it's not great, and it's that guy that is in Ally McBeal.
He's Janosch.
Yeah.
Peter McNichol, I believe.
Yeah.
Do you find... All right, Dan Aykroyd is a pretty connected guy, and I say connected not like he's a mob fellow. Connected, like higher
being.
Sure.
Universe,
whatever it is for
whatever.
you, yeah. Whether it's I mean, he fancies himself being really into the occult and things like that. But what I find is he's connected and he sees things that other people don't see. And Melissa Faith is nodding
Yeah,
a little
she
bit
knows.
in that she gets it too. If you were to zoom out on basically everything, it's all kind of there in Ghostbusters and or Ghostbusters 2. Do you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's good versus evil. It's the positive slime, the negative slime, and how it affects people and how people affect it is what it turns into. It's like everyone thinks they're being affected by the negative slime. Hey, guess what, jerk off? You're
You
making
are
it.
the negative
Yeah, you're
slime.
making it. You're making the negative slime. Good job.
Yeah.
So when it comes to stuff like that, I kind of find that, Ghostbusters 2 applies every single day.
Yeah, complete.
How do you want to charge your slime? Tomorrowland.
I use that mental reference often of the slime in a jar that they have, and I
Dancing toasters.
Totally, and I constantly think of that being how it is, and then it's really cool.
Weird Jay Ryan thing.
Yeah.
It's not actually mine, but I just happen to know the story. A friend of mine actually came up with it's Jackie Wilson singing "Your Love." Higher and Higher, I think is the song is going to be.
When the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, it starts with the toaster though.
Yeah.
In fact, that's the one with the original Jackie Wilson. Anyway, my friend Michael Mann, who's a location manager for years and years in the entertainment industry, he was his brother-in-law was Harold Ramis.
Really?
Yeah, but Michael Mann was the one who chose the song for
Cool.
the whole thing. Knowing
awesome.
what Harold and Dan were going for, what their story arc was, and where they were.
I love that.
Isn't that neat?
Yeah, what a neat little factoid.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I like Hosier. Hosier? Was that guy Hosier? That guy?
I don't know.
The singer. He's got a song called
Hosier.
Have Kids and We'll Name them Jackie and Wilson and raise them on rhythm and blues. We'll have kids, name them Jackie and Wilson.
I'm gonna
and
pull
raise
a
them
you
all
and say
rhythm
I know
blues.
the musical arc of that, not the lyric.
All right, well, that was a bit of a sidebar. Anyway, thank you very much, Kazman and Danbury Chai. We appreciate the trip down memory lane, if nothing else, as well as some new attire.
And the thought and the love.
Always the thought and the love. Thanks for bringing that up, Mrs. Ryan. I'm really glad that you're here today. I feel like sometimes you're here and sometimes you're not, and you're really here today, and I just want to say thanks.
I figured out a few things.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is it medication? Is it you? What is it? What'd you find out or figure out?
It's when I medicate, when I shower, what I've eaten, what I've ingested media, like watching versus meditating, and like the combination of that.
Are you realizing that the recipe affects the meal?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm also realizing I don't know what I like to eat, so I keep fucking around with recipes.
Good for you. Good for you for experimenting and figuring it out.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's
All right.
a joy.
Well, are you comfortable enough to have me ask you the question, what's going on, Mrs. Ryan?
Yes, I am so looking forward to this today. Yeah, no, this is great. Okay, now I have a question.
Sure.
I wrote down, I'm trying to follow the things that we talked about, so I do it correctly. I wrote down headlines, and I read every story of the headlines I wrote. Should I just read one headline at a time and talk to you about it?
I would like, it sounds like you are very, very prepared. Thank you again. I would like to know how you would like to do it. Do you have a way you would like to do it? Otherwise, I will just straight answer your question.
Straight answer my question, I do not
Okay,
have.
cool. I have to be very sensitive to this because we had a YouTube complaint that I was too much of a controlling jerk towards you when it came to this segment. I had to explain yesterday that this segment was designed because it never, ever works. It's almost a comedy bit because it just straight up never works. The guy took all of the inflation of the comedy out, so now we're just like, all right, let's nuts and bolts it and figure it out. I think of Howard and Robin, and I think, oh, she's going to do the news, and she'll read a headline or maybe start telling the story of what it is. And I can't think of... Leona Helmsley was in the news today. Oh, yeah, why is that, Robin? She, you know what I mean? Like, that's how it sort of always happened, very organic. But it doesn't have to be that way. That was what I was thinking when I came up with, oh, this would be a neat way for you to have a segment. Truly, I wanted you to have the segment to do whatever you wanted with. It seemed like you weren't really sure and did want the direction. So that's where all of that came from. That's the backstory. I
appreciate the direction. Totally. It really does help me. So thank you.
Well, you really helped me. So thank you. Hey-o.
Okay, then I'm just going to go one at a time and just flag me down if you're done or you don't care, and then I'll know better.
I care about all of this. I'm excited that you did it. The
first headline that I read kind of goes off yesterday, except it's like kind of an extenuation of yesterday.
Hang on, let's refresh. What's going on, Mrs. Ryan? Dun, 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 dun,
dun. Here I am with the news. The first headline I'm going to read, I'm going to tell you about, is Yes People Kept Kate Spade from Getting Bipolar Disorder Help.
Ooh, interesting. All right, so Kate Spade is in the news because she committed suicide. Yeah, she committed suicide, or apparently committed suicide, I should say. And I don't know that much about women's fashion, but I certainly know that name. And I know that on the social media, it seems that people are really quite upset about it. And not like, oh, in the way that when a celebrity dies, it seems like, oh, no, people are personally affected. And maybe is that because fashion is a more personal choice type thing?
She was known, and part of the thing, her sister, who I guess they haven't talked to in 10 years, that's why this article is like,
oh, wow.
I kind of buy into the article. I kind of believe the sister, even though they weren't close. Like, that's usually the ones that know what's up.
Okay.
But supposedly her bipolar disorder grew out of her instant fame for being so cheery. She's known for being like the creator of a cheery, happy brand. Which
and
is
all
Kate
of a sudden
Spade.
Felt the need to then uphold
It's
that.
hard
That's
to be
a lot
honest.
of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure to keep that cheery face up. So that's what the sister is saying. That's why she's saying, yes, people kept her from getting this help because it was a detriment to her cheeriness of a brand to admit that she had mental struggles with depression and other shit. So
that's terrible.
That's awful.
It's probably a far more common tale than people realize as well, I would imagine. You know what I mean? This is Kate Spade, so people are looking at it, but it happens, you know, a million times a month
It happens all the time. I think she's a really good example of it. And I hope that that angle is explored, because it is that chasm of, I'm so happy and I'm famous and I'm not always happy.
Yeah.
So what do I do?
Yeah.
I don't want to wear the yellow purse today. She was the first one in the 90s or 80s or 90s to introduce color into fashion the way she did.
You into Kate Spade at all? Were you aware of her at all?
I knew the brands.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
She just was I was never a fan per se of the brand, but what she did was elevate women's handbag and accessories to the point that it was part of your wardrobe. Like, you didn't say wear a purse prior to the inclination that she
Oh, no
put out.
kidding. So I would bring my purse. I
Yeah.
wouldn't wear my purse. Wow.
Bring your bag. Grab your bag.
No
grab
kidding.
your
Of course,
handbook.
it's a totally different thing. It's how you associate it. It makes a big difference. Wow.
Yeah.
All right, so I get it. I get the only thing I'll bring up is there was a little bit of controversy with somebody else. Was it? I don't want to say the wrong name, but Kenneth Cole, maybe? I feel like it was a male
I don't
designer
know.
who chimed in with a tweet saying, so-and-so didn't create the handbag, but certainly helped, make it, whatever. I mean, it was a I don't know, but it seemed to be very polarizing, and it was eventually deleted.
Sounds like a little bit shade from a
That's perhaps a
competitor.
better way to put it, yeah, or a good way to put it. I couldn't find the words because I don't.
It's tricky. People are handling it not awesomely.
Okay.
I know someone who knew her personally pretty well and was working with her at some point. I'd be curious to hear what he says. Kind of like I was super fascinated to hear what Joe said about Joe
Okay.
Rogan. Like, it's just a completely 180 perspective of what you expect and think.
It's nice to hear another perspective
Yeah.
sometimes. Certainly in the case of Joe Rogan and Roseanne. I mean, they talked on the phone, so he has Roseanne is my friend, and she told me this, and we have a history, and he's now taking into consideration her mental health and her medications and her state of mind and all of the things because he's her friend and he knows her. Twitter isn't doing that. I don't think she's a racist. I think she's hideously irresponsible. You know what I mean? I really
Agreed.
don't think she's a racist. I
Agreed.
think she is
I think she
medicated
made a
and
really
she's
bad
getting through
joke.
life. Yeah.
It's just, and I'm not saying just like to forgive it.
No,
I'm
I don't- I
saying,
agree.
like,
It- the-
who cares? Like, I write bad, dumb jokes all the time. Like, if I wrote them on Twitter, like, the problem is, like, shouldn't have shown anybody.
Yeah, the
You don't
filter-
need to put
the
it on
filter's the
Twitter.
issue, yeah.
Like, but it is what it is. Like, also, I'm not saying Ambien made her racist, but it certainly probably dissociated her enough to be like, Twitter's a good idea at 3 in the morning.
Yeah, and it's not the first time. You know, it's one of those things. It was a perfect storm. So, and the timing of the and we're going to talk about the timing of the landscape out there, the climate, the people climate.
Yeah.
That was a great first one. What's the next
It
one?
goes into my second one, which is the headline is inadequate sleep could cost countries billions. The second part is inadequate sleep is a public health problem affecting more than 1 in 3 adults worldwide. It affects health, safety, and productivity of people like around them, and it causes a lapse in attention, a lapse in motivation, confusion, irritability, and impaired communication.
I agree with all of that. I will just say this. I think we need to zoom out further because lack of sleep, in my opinion, is a symptom and is not the core problem.
Okay.
People are getting a lack of sleep because there's just too
much.
much other stuff going on. You know what I mean? They don't know how to shut off their lives to go to sleep.
That's a really good point.
That's just, I mean, that's, you know.
No, I wanted to say that like 100 times yesterday with Kirsten. Like, you need just turn off your phone. Put your
Right.
phone over in another room
Yeah,
for an hour.
you have an addiction is generally the problem.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're totally right.
I don't know if I'm right. That's just my.
I
where
happen to
I'm
agree
coming
with
from.
you.
Thanks.
I have 2 more things in there quick.
This is awesome. I'm enjoying it.
The last surviving Munchkin from Wizard of Oz is no longer.
Oh, no kidding.
He was 98 years old. His name was Jerry Marin, and he's
I
the
don't know.
guy in the green that shows
Oh,
up
he's a
with a lot.
specific Munchkin.
Yeah.
He's not just a nondescript short
Nope.
fellow in the back.
He was one of the 3 that shows up with a lollipop over his shoulder and sings a song to welcome her
When
into
Dorothy
Munchkinland.
first gets there. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I've heard there's such a checkered past with this, at least with the stories. I don't know the actual past. So much time has gone by that who knows what the actual stories are as the last fella just passed. It's like a Titanic survivor. Like, James Cameron did a great movie, but we don't know what the hell happened on that boat.
Here's the deal. I thought the last surviving Munchkin died years ago, so I was kind of surprised to read this headline.
There's a lot of this. There's always, whatever. Totally. And they're always popping up. It's very weird. It's all a simulation, folks.
But he was, apparently, his credits are Bewitched, Twilight Zone, and Seinfeld. So I was like, I gotta...
What I think,
kudos to this guy.
Seinfeld.
Yeah, and I couldn't figure out.
So wait, well, he's not like Mickey or one of those guys. He wasn't old enough. But
So
the girl from Seinfeld, the girlfriend from that, she just recently passed away. I used to go to the same car wash as her, and we'd talk all the time.
That's cute. I didn't realize. And
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't look up which one he was. I just was like, oh, Bewitched and Seinfeld. Like, that's a win.
Wow, that's crazy. All right.
And the last one I'll end on is Costco is selling vodka pops, and summer will never be the same.
Wow. That was nice. That was like the number one on the top 10 list. You know what I mean? It was like, sure, it's there. It's kind of a dud, though. It's more of a, and moving on.
It was a nice way to wrap it in.
I wish I had a like a, da-da-da-da-da-da. That's awesome. Well, you know what? And that's the news with Mrs. Ryan. That's what's going on.
That's what's going on.
That was awesome. Good job. All right. Well, it is about 15 minutes in. Let us take a break and bring in our guest, Melissa Faith,
Awesome.
shall we?
Yes, please.
Awesome. All right. We will be right back. And we're back! That is for Tori, V-Dubber for life, Alonzo.
Hello.
All right, but we are here with Melissa Faith Ramirez. Hello there. How are you?
Hello, aloha.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me
Aloha
here. I'm
to
very
you.
excited. I'm excited about this mic, too.
Oh, really? What does that mean?
I don't
Good
know.
grief.
We'll keep going with that conversation.
Oh, really?
No.
Don't stay on it too long? I don't know what you mean. It seems like something.
Oh, innuendo.
All right, so we should, let's just talk about how you got here. All right, I have a tremendous friend in a guy named Steve Kaz, who has the organization Danbury Chive out in Connecticut. He does all sorts of great things, raising funds and helping people who need it. And he introduced me to you, saying, "Oh, you've got to meet her. She's like amazing. She's next level shit. She's like the real deal, yo." Like all of the shit that Steve Kaz
That's such a
says.
Steve line, next level shit.
It's a quote for
I
sure,
love it.
obviously. What I know about you is you are an energy worker. You are. Tell me what you are. Tell us who you are and what a little bit about yourself. How's
So
that?
my title is an intuitive guide,
Okay.
an intuitive empath. So intuitive means I work through my intuition, and empath is I am empathic and I can feel energy and emotions of others.
Okay.
And I started started doing this work, just understanding that it was my purpose in life. I went through my own 2-decade journey
Sure.
of not fully understanding what all this was. And now living in Hawaii, I took a one-way ticket from New York City about 3 years ago. I said,
That's the
F
coolest.
this. I'm done with the hamster wheel. I'm done with the masks. And
Hawaii is incredibly
made a
important to
shift.
both of us, so
Yeah.
I would love to talk about that at
Yeah.
length, but I'm going to skip it now just to stay
Yeah.
on. Okay.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I hope we come back to that.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. So I have a platform now called We Create Our Crazy, where I believe we are the masters of our own universe,
Okay.
masters of our own reality.
Okay.
So if we really understand how these belief systems that no longer serve us, these ideologies, these masks that we're wearing that aren't necessarily ours, are kind of keeping us in our own way, keeping us in our own way of really accessing, the divine, accessing what's bigger than us, right?
Okay.
And then that inner intuition, which is just our voice that helps guide us along the way.
Kind of turning people's antenna on, that type of thing?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
or,
yeah.
or pointing it in the right direction?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, there you go. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So energy work is a big part of the work that I do. We work with chakras. We work.
You're saying we
feel-
now, too. Is this larger than just you at this point?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So I channel as well. I channel information. So my work is very unique, and I think I'm having a hard time verbalizing what it is that I exactly do, because it's really about me sitting with the client and tapping in.
Sure. You don't seem to be having a hard time, just so you know. No, do you?
I know what you're saying, that it's hard to explain to people the breadth of what you do
Yes.
versus the specifics of moments that you have with people, which is, I feel like, what channeling is. But if you just say to someone on the street, like, I'm a channeler, they're like,
Yeah, exactly.
great, there's a homeless shelter down the street.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's
There's a
not
lot of
as-
kickback. Yeah.
I know that it's a bigger concept than what it sounds like sometimes.
Yeah, and I feel like it's a concept that's been really poo-pooed in the society today, right? And that goes back to what you guys were talking about before a little bit, about they're higher powers, I believe, that are actually controlling us in society and what we're listening to, what we're learning. Our education system, I think, is pretty effed up. It's really just based on us being factory workers, just kind of following direction, and getting information and regurgitating it. So I believe we've entered a new earth where it's all about tapping into our higher consciousness. The consciousness has been dumbed down, right? There's a lot of layers that we need to kind of work through. And myself, I got into it because I suffered from depression, anxiety. I was labeled bipolar, just like Kate
Sure.
Spade, and
Oh, really? Was that part of that, too? Oh, I didn't realize.
yeah, and I didn't fully understand what it was, because I was picking up a lot of stuff that I didn't realize wasn't mine. I thought it was mine. I thought I was losing my mind. I thought I was going crazy. And lo and behold, when I walked my journey, I realized, no, it's actually not mine. I'm taking an energy from other people, and I'm a lot of the time taking an energy from the collective, As a woman, I'm so grateful that things are surfacing, the hashtag #MeToo movement, There's a lot of truth to that, you know, even if we're not physically ourselves attacked, you know, just the energy that we have of how we're spoken to, how we're looked at, how we're gawked at, you know, can really debilitate a woman's ability to understand who she actually is. And then if you layer that with...
That's interesting, because then the development gets halted. That's interesting.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's
Putting
okay.
the pieces together as you say things.
It's okay. So if you layer that with, you know, religious institutions, you know, I have a thing with religion. I call myself a recovering Catholic.
Oh,
you
really?
know? Yeah, I'm very
Okay.
Colombian. I was raised very Catholic, you know, legs crossed, good Catholic schoolgirl.
Are you from Colombia? Did you grow up in Colombia?
I was raised and born in New York City.
Okay.
Born and raised in New York City. But I'm very Colombian. I'm Colombian ethnicity, Colombian blood.
Have you ever been?
Citizenship. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I
okay.
tried to make a living there a couple of years ago.
Oh, okay.
Didn't work so much.
I think I stepped on it. You just said dual citizenship? Too?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
obviously you've probably been a number of times.
Oh, yeah. And growing up, it was one of those, like, they would ship us down to Colombia for the summer, me and my brother, because the whole family's down there. So,
I went a couple summers.
oh, yeah?
Yeah, my aunt lives there, yeah.
Oh, sweet. What part?
Pereira.
Pereira.
Yeah.
Okay. We're from Palmira.
Okay.
Pereira is where my aunt's from. And this is interesting. I come from a lineage of generations of people that actually connected. So mediums, psychics.
Really? Yeah, my
right?
aunt is connected as well.
There you go.
Yeah.
So-
She that's all her work as well. Very similar. Donna Gay. Shout out to Donna Gay.
Donna Gay.
Donna
I
Gay
love
Williams
it.
in Colombia.
Pereira.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
she spreads her time all over the world, really. But between Miami and places in the States, and she was in Portland, Oregon for a bit. She goes where she's
needed.
honestly, yeah, or
She
where
gets
she just
pulled.
where she's
Yeah.
pulled.
Yeah.
And it's something I never understood as a kid, and as an adult now, wherever I've gotten at this point in this crazy whatever it is.
Yeah.
I'm calling it a sim for the amusement purposes, but she's always been connected to something, and I just never got it. And now I finally am like, my eyes are open, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, I don't know what it is, but I get it.
Yeah.
I definitely get that driving force that you can't see. I get it.
And I get what you're saying about not really understanding it when we're younger, because my family was very much pillaged. You know, I had a circle of aunts, 4 aunts and an uncle, who were mediums, and they would bring in the dead, they would bring in the ancestors, and they were pillaging their community. You know, they were ostracized, and so I grew up in like, I have this something, but I don't know what it is, and I can associate
weird.
myself with that.
Don't talk about it. The horrible shit in your family has happened
Exactly.
because of this gift that you have.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
Being very
neat.
Catholic as well. It's like
Oh,
that's,
yeah.
that's the devil talking.
Right.
You know, like, you can't have your own opinion. You have to listen to God's way, you know. So I had a really difficult time, and I became an atheist at one point where I said, F you. Like, who are you to tell me who I am and what I'm supposed to be? And my journey was
Rebelling
really-
against your own faith that was your faith for long
Yes,
enough. Yeah.
yes.
So that's part of like an awakening in itself, right?
Absolutely.
imagine.
Absolutely, yeah. So the journey was also recreating my relationship with God, whether it's God, whether
big
it's
deal.
the universe, whether it's our higher power. I mean, it's really all just words that kind of define something.
But it lets you be guided by something that's not you.
Yeah.
And a lot, like, that's a weird relationship that I think a lot of people have a hard time with. I know that I had a hard time with it because especially what you were saying about, like, as a woman, like, we're used to, like, having to fight for what we want.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of pushback from that. So to allow the subservience that's required to be like, no, you guide me, and I don't know what you are, but I trust it.
I trust it, yeah.
That's hard.
Very.
And for chicks, when they go intellectual, like, no, last time I did this happened.
Right.
It's like, stop thinking about it.
Right. And then,
It's a little
you
crazy.
develop a fear, and then that fear becomes your belief system, and then you get stuck in the cycle of what you're supposed to do, and and stuck in the cycle of survival as well, paying your rent, getting food on the table. If you're a parent, trying to manage all that.
Thank you, yeah.
That you let go of yourself and what your needs are, right? And
Yeah.
your inner divine wisdom.
When
Yeah.
you said fear becoming your belief system, that is
Yeah.
huge.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's kind of when you were saying the Me Too.
And then I feel for men too with the Me Too movement, right? There's a lot of bashing right now going towards men. How dare you? Now I know. And I believe, we kind of have to go to the chaos in order to kind of come to the calm, right? That's kind of
Pendulum,
the space
yeah.
we're in. But I feel for men because I feel men have been thrown upon these belief systems. Well, I'm the man, and I'm the rock, and I'm the one that has to be provider, and I can't cry, and I can't
100%. I'm really
feel.
glad that you're actually talking about that
You
stuff.
know?
Yeah.
So I really am now honing in on doing work with women, right? Specifically starting with women to help them tap into their feminine divinity, right? To have like a nice, beautiful, sacred space for themselves and to hold space for their men. So their men can feel vulnerable and comfortable enough to do the crying, to do the feeling.
I'm glad you're talking about that. That's a big part of it that it's easy to not talk about that part because it's the after part. It's the secondary part of the Me Too shit. That yes, you've been wronged. Great. But part of your healing is healing everyone and letting it,
Getting emphatic.
I felt it.
Right. Feel it. Bring it out.
But it's neat that you're talking about it because that's a big part that we don't get into enough, I think. So
yeah.
Did I ruin that camera?
No, not at all. Are you kidding? No.
And it's layers. It's like you know, when we grieve someone or something that's passed, it's let go of us. Then we have to go through these different layers of understanding, right? So we're in that initial layer of bashing the men because the men are the ones that are wrong. Women are having their voice.
That's what I was going to say. If I may, they haven't had a soapbox that was big enough in a long ass time. Yeah. So of course everyone wants to get up on it and say what they've been dying to say. I mean, that's natural.
Absolutely. And then the rage and the anger has to come to the surface. Like you have to expel it. Part of the work that I do with clients is yell, scream, do the fuck yous, get it out. Because if you still have it in your physical body, I always say the issue is in the tissue, right? Yeah. If you're still there in the physical body and you've worked with it, through your mind, like the residual is still going to exist. So when you get triggered a certain way, it's still going to come out, right? So we're kind of in that space of this all has to come out first in order for us to find some sort of healing.
I don't know what my question is here. I'll throw something out there and maybe see how you feel about it. I don't want to get into the debate that is what happened with Louis C.K., but I'd like to talk about an aspect of it. Are you familiar at all? Louis C.K. is a comedian.
I know him, but I don't know the story.
He's a comedian who was also in a Me Too thing, and he I don't know how much to get into. What would you say? Just to recap the story, it's not like he didn't rape anybody, but he wanted to masturbate.
He had inappropriate sexual proclivities that got publicized by it, to me, a scorned gal, but like a bad situation. But he was one of the later ones in that whole rush of like men have done bad things. Yeah. So it's nebulous how bad it was.
Well, and what I'm
is that fair? I
don't know. I'm really wishing I hadn't opened this can of worms at all, because what I wanted to get to was how he decided to deal. I wanted to see it's my personal opinion that what he did is not as bad as a Cosby, a Weinstein, a lot of people that were going, okay, here's the 10 for 10 for the worst of what you can do with this shit. Here's somebody who probably had some fucked up development and like he's into some weird shit and asked people like, hey, do you mind if I do this? Yeah. I think one of these happened at work, I think, which is why this is a thing. Okay. What I would like to talk about is when it all exploded, he very quickly put out a statement. I get, everybody disavowed him, his representation, his Netflix, all his people, whoever. And he put out a message saying that, all right, well, there's a lot of stuff going on, and I'm going to take this time to just go away and listen. Like, I'm just going to get silent, shut the fuck up. I'm going to back out of this situation. I'm not going anywhere, everybody. Yeah. I'm just going to stand over here in this other side of the room to listen, because clearly he didn't think he was doing something wrong, but he did, or he did something that society deems he did wrong. And I guess what I'm getting at is there was no rush to apologize, rush to fire this. There was his way of dealing with it is, all right, let's back up, and I'm going to listen to what you all say, because clearly I am the one who doesn't know shit at this party.
I love it. Kudos to
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say. I found some very redeeming qualities in this very shitty situation that this guy put himself in. Okay, with that hideously long backstory, what do you think for someone, or when these things are going on, how do people deal with it? How's a way for you and me who are not getting accused of these things, or someone that we know is, like, whatever, just how do we deal with it? How do you have any advice? You're a spiritual person, you're a feeling person, you're connected.
Yeah.
What do we do?
Yeah. Well, it all starts with us working within ourselves, right? So what Louis C.K. did by backing off and just like observing himself and others. Eckhart Tolle is a very famous author on New Earth. He's written Power of Now. He talks about the detached observer. Sitting back and watching without judgment, right?
Right,
when
observing.
When you give yourself that opportunity, then you're actually able to see what your belief systems are, right? That you're vomiting profusely on others because you may feel pressure from society, you may feel that's the cool thing to do, or it just becomes like a broken record,
right?
You know, eventually with time. So what I always suggest to people is, yes, the rah rah, hear me roar, you know, right now is really happening, but if we desire to develop a sort of consciousness to this, shut up.
Yeah.
Sit back, right? And just start watching your thoughts. Because it's our thoughts that create who we are. It's our thoughts that create what we do, right? So if we're not managing those thoughts correctly, if we're not driving the car of those thoughts, then we're just on, you know, verbal vomit all the time, right? So my first thing that I always suggest to people is just be curious, like a child seeing a toy for the first time, right? Ooh, what is this? What color is it? Oh, what can I do with it? Do that with your thoughts. You know, I always acknowledge meditation as being a really beautiful practice to do. And I say, well, I don't have time for meditation. I don't have time for this. You know what? You know, we are busy. It's true. But today, there's so many different modalities that give us the permission to actually tap into to meditation. You're washing your dishes. Stop multitasking when you're washing your dishes, right? Just feel the soap through your hands. Feel the water run through your fingers.
So multitasking in general is my first advice in general.
Exactly. Let's tap into all your senses. And I teach meditation to children, you know, in Hawaii. A very compromised part of Hawaii, right? So these kids are like inundated with like
compromised part.
There's a lot of drug abuse. There's a lot of, you know, violence that they're constantly seeing.
What
right?
island are you?
I'm in Oahu.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's funny because everybody thinks, oh, Hawaii is so picture perfect and everything's wonderful and great. No, it's society.
Everything has everything,
society
exactly.
Is tainted, period, end of story. That's where we are, right? And now we're shifting to try and understand what it is and then shifting out in order to be able to create a more conscious, you know, environment and society. So what I tell these children all the time, and it can happen for all of us, is take whatever thought comes through, because everyone says, oh, meditation, I have to shut my mind down. You're not going to shut your mind down. Thoughts are always going. That's what the brain is in charge of doing, right? So when you have a thought come to you, put it in a cloud and watch the cloud go by, just the way Mother Nature does for us. And then poof, watch the thought just go away. And if you give yourself permission to do that on a daily basis, and we're not talking sitting, you know, for 3 hours. I mean, I do 10-day silent retreats because that's just who I am. I do Vipassanas. I go sit in a cave for 4 days at a time, and I don't eat or drink or anything because I'm connecting to something bigger. I'm an extremist in every way, shape, or form, you know? But if we can just dedicate 5 minutes every day, you know, we have apps today, you know, put on the app, put on the headphones, right? Just
So
give yourself
crazy.
the time to just sit with your thoughts and understand yourself, because we don't know who we are.
Yeah.
Do you find that more people need that these days? They need something to, it's so foreign to me. I don't understand.
Oh, yeah, but think about what we're being fed. You turn on the TV.
I don't.
You know?
You know, I've never eaten what I'm spoon fed. I'm always the guy
but
who
the
is just like
majority
whatever,
is.
but I can't relate to that. So that's why I'm saying I have a hard time understanding it, and I have a hard time
Her
relating to
first
people because of it.
Piece of
out in the
advice to
world.
people is don't watch the news. Don't watch like what's out
Mainstream
there.
news.
Mainstream entertainment.
Find like an independent channel if you really want to be engaged in the news. I watch the news because I'm fascinated at watching how everything is unfolding, you know? And this is the line of work that I'm in. But if you really turn on mainstream news, what are they feeding us? To be consumers, to not care about ourselves, to be mean to each other, right? You guys were mentioning Roseanne Barr. I have a huge voice in saying Ambien was a major factor in what she said. Absolutely.
Okay.
Think about it, guys, okay? Mental health, all right? I was diagnosed depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, okay? If you ask someone that grew up with me, they'd be like, what? That makes no sense. I've always been the popular one. I've always been the fun one, never on medication. When I went to the psychiatrist and they gave me that little bill of health, this is the medication you need to take, my whole body shuddered. And I was shut down for days.
How old were you at that point?
So maybe like 4 years ago, right before I
Oh,
went
wow.
to Hawaii. Yeah, but I struggled for a very long time not knowing what anything was. I just kind of felt like I was going crazy. I mean, there were days I stood in front of the institution and I was just like, should I admit myself? Because I can't function anymore because nobody understands what I'm feeling or saying. I don't understand what I'm feeling or saying.
Yeah.
So when my whole body shook to the core and I was like, I can't go on medication. I'm like, why am I so against medication? Because if I take the meds, I'll be able to be a part of society. What I ended up realizing was maybe this medication is keeping us dumbed down and quiet to our truth, right? Because if we're taking something that's keeping us in line, we're not giving ourselves permission to actually tap in. We're always so quick to take a pill. We're always so quick to find the easy way out, right? Because that's how we were raised to be. Those are the messages that we get sent out. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with anybody taking medication. However, it's really important to understand the why behind the medication, right? And I really believe it's important to find that balance of doing the medication and then also doing the inner work, right?
That's where I always go is like medication's fine to like kickstart a direction.
Yeah.
But if you're just taking anything blindly and not realizing how it's affecting you, then you're part of that problem if it's a problem. Like I talk to friends about that a lot because I was giving myself shots every day. And it's like, yeah, I was physically better off. Sure. But I wasn't paying attention to how being physically better off was benefiting my mental state because that was deteriorating pretty hard.
Yeah.
So it's like if you don't pay attention to both sides of that coin, what are you doing?
Right. And that's
Which
why
wolf
the
are you
whole
feeding?
idea of it being a holistic perspective is so important.
Yeah.
You know, what we eat, like you mentioned before, if I'm making sure I'm sleeping well, if I'm exercising, right? If I'm honoring what I feel. If I'm asked to do something and I just don't feel like I want to do it, don't do it.
Well, that's
You
where
know?
that's where it comes in that all of that is subjective. Everything you just said, medication, what you eat, blah, 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 it's going to mean something different for everyone. So you have to trust yourself and what that feels like. You have to look at it first.
There you go. There you go.
It's
And
the hard part, but that's what you teach people to do, right?
yeah, and that's why my work is so unique, right? Everyone asks me, what's your audience? What's your genre? What's your niche? And I'm like, you're a human being and you have a heartbeat. Come to my door. And if you're open to doing the work, right? Because you have to. It usually, people come to me in crisis mode. People come to me, I'm going through a divorce. I just was diagnosed with a severe illness. You know, I just lost somebody that I love so much and I can't function, you know. I've been diagnosed and I just don't want to or I don't desire to. And it's the crisis mode that propels them to want to do the work. But we don't need to get to the crisis mode. But because we're human, right, and we're so stuck in our cycle, you know what I mean, and the demands, the outer demands that society always expects us to have, expects us to be, then we don't tap into actually what we need. So what I would like to do is, you know, be able to spread the message enough to be like, hey, it's okay. It's totally okay that you feel like you're going crazy because it's not you. It's what we've been imposed upon, right? So I always ask folks, let's just have a conversation, right? Give me permission to tap into you. Because what I do is I connect my higher wisdom with their higher wisdom. And I guide them in learning to understand and hear their inner wisdom. Because there's just layers that are just blocking stuff off that doesn't give us permission to actually hear. And that's why I left for Hawaii. That was my reason.
Do you know who Alba Weinman is? Do you know that name at all?
No.
Okay. She's
She's a channeler?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think I've seen. She has they're just laying on the couch.
Often, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I haven't actually watched her, but
I'm not trying to tell you to.
Yeah,
I was just curious
please.
if it was going to be something similar.
please.
Because I have watched quite a few of those. I'm fascinated by it. I actually, when you watch people connect with their higher selves, is generally what it is,
Yeah.
or other entities which help them along the way. It's one of those things that, you know, your first instinct, I think, even as a believer, would be to get all skeptical, and excuse me. And then after a couple minutes, you're just like, I don't know, I'm in. I mean, it's like that movie K-Pax to me. I love that movie K-Pax, and I see it as, oh yeah, no, it happened most people, the finale of the movie is, I don't know if you know the movie K-Pax.
No.
All right.
I've been living in a cave, dude.
No, it's just,
No, it's like from
I'm
the
in a cave. This
early
movie's from
90s.
20 years ago. It's an actor who also Me Too taken down. Shit, we can't even talk about this movie anymore. Kevin Spacey.
Oh.
He may or may not be an alien in this world from another world. If you ever saw the movie Starman, maybe back in the 70s or 80s with Jeff Bridges.
Okay, I haven't seen
I
it,
forget.
but-
You're not much of a viewer of content. You don't consume content that
No.
way. Yeah,
Yeah,
good for you.
I've
You're out there with
disconnected
sunshine
from
and
that.
pineapples and shit. Good for you. All right. Well, anyway, I always bought the end of that movie. It's like, oh no, he's still there in the hospital. I'm like, no, you guys are missing it. It's another dimension.
It seems now that I own more of this part of it seems like he dissociated and that he was present for part of it and then had his own machinations of what that meant for longevity. And he had his own timeline of like, this is when I'm leaving. And he told people like on Wednesday, whatever the fuck, like I'm not going to be here anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm only here for 6 months or whatever, and I'm
Yeah.
observing your planet or whatever the
Yeah.
heck it is.
But in the meantime, like you were saying earlier, like he inspired everyone around him to be better, to be fun, to find their own whatever they spoke to them.
This is actually a movie you might like. It takes place in New York City, and they find this guy in Grand Central, and he's helping someone, and he gets arrested because he looks indigent. And he can't. Where are you from? Do you take off your sunglasses? Oh, I'd rather not. The sun's very bright on your planet. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they lock him up. So the whole movie is at like a Bellevue type hospital where he's basically under
Observation.
Yeah, but involuntarily.
Yeah.
But even though he's friendly, so he ends up helping all of these people in the hospital along the way, and then, like she said, at the end, he's catatonic in the chair because I believe that the guy left. So anyway, getting back to Alba Wyman, and sounds similar to the stuff that you do. Sorry, Mrs. Ryan, I was on you for that whole thing there. I'm over here talking, forgive me. But we'll have some great reaction shots of you.
Hope everyone's happy. I did not know.
Watching this stuff, beginning as a skeptic, then I see that, I think I just, as if you zoom out, you think, do all the patterns and your shit cycles, and you're like, oh, wait a second, the dots are connected. I'm kind of like, well, wait a second, why wouldn't we? I mean, where do we go when we sleep? Where do we go when we're knocked out? Where do we go when you hold your breath when you're a kid and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's all the same.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's so interesting that you were talking about dimensions, because I feel we were in the third dimension, right, which is ego-based, me, what can you do for me, right? To the fifth dimension, which is about tapping into the higher consciousness, right? And going,
Mrs. Ryan talks about that a lot, yeah. I don't know as much about it as she does, but...
I believe that please go back and don't let me side rail you, but my belief system kind of is infiltrated by my reality of we start at 3D, that's here, that's Earth, that's humans on the planet. But our goal is the wrong word that I don't like to use, but like our agenda, like what we're here to do, is to go from 3 to 5, which is like living here and being a hybrid of physical and mental capability and connection and whatever. And I keep getting caught in the 4D nebulous. Maybe it's light, maybe it's dark, blah, blah, blah. Figure it out. And I get distracted. Yeah. And I go into that place that you talked about of like too much shit coming at me. Like I look at the news, I watch something, like I get so distracted by anything. I often go in the wrong direction.
I have a theory on that, though, that I think is very simple. And we've discussed it a little bit. And you seem to... All right. May I?
Yes,
so
of course.
Sorry. Rude.
We're conversing. This is good.
Mrs. Ryan, and part of this is her, part of it's MS, part of it not good with regulation of any sort. And I feel that this is an energetic regulation where you will run yourself all the way to zero. Yeah. You run the iPhone all the way till it shuts off. And then when it comes back up, it takes a while, first of all, to come back up. And then the screen is just a red thing. And then it still takes a while with the plug on it. And then, you know what I mean? It's almost like you run yourself all the way out. Then your tether is disconnected. And it takes a while for you're living in your 3D again. You've totally worn out your 5D battery. And you're just working on 3D again until that shit works up enough, and then it connects, and then you're like 14, and then that connection builds and builds and builds and builds, and eventually you've got the fiber optics again. I feel like you could maintain that more if you were able to regulate your own energy so that you didn't run it all the way to the ground. If you knew when you were at 30% and could slow down at 20 and stop at 10, and then like just go lay down and whatever, I feel like you might be better off.
Totally. May I add something to that? I'm going to add something to that. I read something from a woman the other day that has MS, and she's like, my temperature gauge is always off. And that, to me, I've said that to you a lot. Like, I heat up at random moments. Like, I night sweat like crazy. Like, something's going on. And I know that. And I'm not afraid of it anymore because I'm still alive. And I got used to the fact that, like, I might not be. So, but I guess my point of that is I don't always know when I've disconnected, when my battery's out. I don't know that. And I need to get better about seeing that, but I think that disconnection happens a lot, and I don't realize I'm disconnected.
Right, right.
And not to make this all about you, but I feel like when that happens, when you're in the reserves, the first thing your body cuts out is the smoke alarm. It's a weird thing. It's like you are, when you're taxed out, it's when you start to sprint for the end of the race.
Totally. Like, and reminders of what could go wrong.
So all of a sudden, everyone telling you, hey, your 5D tether connection, hey, your energy, all the things, you're like, nope, 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 because, and then you'll just drive it through on straight adrenaline till the end, and then you don't sleep well, and then it crashes, and you don't rejuvenate, and you're not able to get back to where you were right away.
Yeah. I have a lot of thoughts on my past in that situation and how that happened, but you're right. I need to work on that going forward.
All right. Well, thanks for being here for that.
That's the journey. That's the journey. Like, you're saying physical, your physical symptoms of, night sweats and everything. What I'm hearing as you're speaking is you're going through your ascension. You're going through your awakening. Those are ascension symptoms, we call them. Right?
I've read that, but it sounds terrifying when you wake up and you're drenched.
It is terrifying, right? But it's about being in that space of discomfort and trusting that it's all happening for a reason, and just listening to that inner guidance, right? And it's a practice. It's a practice.
It's a practice. It's a hard one. So I appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because it's, especially when you're confronted with the medical community saying this is wrong, this is an indicator of a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is on every MS forum.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult for someone whose intellect and emotions are miswired. Literally, like, I feel sad, my leg hurts. Like, that's not normal, and it's not accurate. But when you're confronted with conflicting information like that, versus trust yourself, you're fine, or red alarm, this is a fire, there's something wrong, you're breaking. It's like, what do you fucking do? Like, that's impossible to reconcile sometimes.
Absolutely. And I get it. Totally. I've been there, done that, check. For so many years, and it's like we are our own worst enemies, right? Many, many times, because we allow that inner critic, right, to guide us instead of that divine wisdom, right? So the inner critic is that loud voice, that loud, demanding, you're not doing this right, you're not doing that right, you got to go faster, right? Versus the kind voice, I love myself enough that I'm just going to stop where I am right now, take a breath, and just listen, right?
Yeah, I'm apparently the voice of people who doesn't know what that looks like, so can't implement it properly. But I know what you're saying.
And this is why, the work that I do, I have such a hard time verbalizing it, because it's not like, oh, you do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and poof, like, you're now cured. It doesn't work that way. It's a journey that I need to walk with the person, right? And I suffered a lot more than I needed to. Like, this all began in, like, my early 20s. Like, high school, I was like a beaming ball of light. Nothing was wrong. Everything was cool. But interestingly enough, I sat with a psychic not too long ago who told me, for 18 years, you've been suffering emotionally. And I went back, and I'm like, 18 years? I was like, oh, my God. I had a stroke when I was 23. A full-on stroke when I was 23.
And that math works out.
And that math works out, right? And for me, according to the ascensions, the awakening symptoms, a stroke is just like, okay, hello, we're going to shut down your body so you can start paying attention. I didn't know what the hell any of this was. So I went into my own binges to run away and to escape from what I was feeling. I never, ever looked at it until a couple of years ago, you know? So I really feel like it's important for us that are going through this is to have a guide, to have somebody that's been there and done that.
Agreed.
You know, to be able to have these conversations that you can't really have with anybody who hasn't walked the walk.
Yeah.
You know, it's really hard to explain to somebody, yeah, I hear voices and I see flashes of light. And
do you actually hear voices? I mean, or do you just feel them? I mean, because I mean, I feel everyone has. Well, I don't know this. I'm assuming that everyone has the, you know, in a cartoon, the devil on one side, and the angel on the other. And I assume like, well, one's a conscience and one's that what you were saying, that nagging critical voice.
Yeah, the inner critic.
I assume that everyone has those, but it's more like to me, internally, I know right from wrong. Ooh, I know what's good and what's bad. Ooh, I know. I don't actually hear those voices. Do people actually hear like people talking? And forgive me for asking this. It's maybe really naive. I don't know.
I hear myself reading messages the way I would a prompter. I don't hear like.
But you hear
Billy
Nicole
Bob.
talking. Yeah, wow. And same.
Yeah, so for me, I hear the voice of the person that is in front of me.
Because you're on a journey with them, so.
Or even if I'm not on a journey with them, I'm empathic, right? So I sense things that they necessarily don't see themselves. So I'll be in a room, in a party, and this was, you know, in the past.
Trippy.
Tripping out, because I'm just like, I'm talking to you, and you're saying one thing, and I'm like, no, you're full of it. Like, you know, like,
yeah.
I see the mask that people are wearing, and then I actually do hear voices coming through, like sending messages to them, like, let them know this, let them know that. And I get visual flashes as well sometimes. There's different types of clairs, they call them, clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient. So clairvoyant when you see.
Claire's Boutique, of course, is very popular. It used to be.
Clairaudient is when you hear. Clairsentient is when you feel. So yes.
Clairsentient.
Clairsentient.
Sentient.
Right, when you feel.
Oh, clairsentient, of course, sure, sentient.
Yeah, so I'm a feeler too. And that's why I would get a lot of physical ailments.
Yeah.
You know, because I would feel things from other people and then I would all of a sudden get sick when I'm eating fine and I'm doing what I need to do.
I have had conversations with people where I think I'm having a heart attack and then I walk away and I'm
perfectly fine.
I swear to God, though, it's like it's one of those where I'm about to drop. I'm about to go down right here and now.
Yeah. So
that's usually somebody with a beer that they just spilled on you and whatever else. It's like a whole thing that they're nowhere near the present moment.
Right. Totally. So the trick in those moments is just very simple, right? We complicate things because that's what the mind does. The mind is logical and things have to be a certain way. It's really not that complicated. When you feel something, you go, is this mine? And you'll know.
Oh, I know.
Right?
Oh, no, I know. I'm already I'm well down that path. I guess I'm saying like, I'm asking, does that make me clairsentient then? Because I feel this stuff.
Absolutely. You're
but
empathic.
I'm not hearing anything.
No, that's fine. You're empathic.
I would say you're not clairaudient if you're not hearing things. That's a thing, right?
Clairaudient
where like you
if
get
you're hearing, yeah. You're clairsentient. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get. I specifically said, what should we mention? You're a yoni. You have a yoni egg practice. Is that correct? Because we don't. How long will this take to do here?
A couple of minutes.
Oh, okay.
5 minutes. Yeah. So I've done a lot of work on the higher chakras, right? So the higher chakras, we have the crown chakra, we have the third eye chakra, which is intuition, we have the throat chakra, which is communication, the heart chakra, which is love for ourselves and others, the solar plexus chakra, which is the understanding of ourselves, sacral chakra, which is the sexual chakra, creativity, and then the root chakra at the base.
That's the grounding one, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Thank you. And my higher chakras have really been tapped in, right? And that's why I've been able to really start understanding that these messages are not mine. I've been able to do the work that I do and actually disconnect from it when before I would get engulfed by it, But I recently discovered that my lower chakras are not at all balanced, right? They say when your chakras are balanced is when you're actually completely open to the divine and actually believing in yourself and being instead of doing.
You seem surprised by that, though. Did you think that you were more aligned or more balanced or more grounded throughout? More evenly grounded?
Yeah, because I had the connection to the divine, right? And in my mind, I was like, oh, the connection is divine. You got that?
You're
check.
good.
You're good. You're good
I
to go.
thought that-
Go up the chakras. Check.
I
You know?
said to her earlier, it's how I felt when I started suddenly feeling like a marionette. And then Daria was here. I was like, she said something similar, and I was like, it's your root chakra. Like, you've got to solidify something. You're untethered. And I realized I was talking to myself. So I know what you mean.
So moving to Hawaii, I actually met a. Let me go backstory. So before I went to Hawaii, I became celibate. I realized that I had sexual trauma as a child that I needed to work on. I realized that I actually used sex as a weapon. A lot of the times in my relationships, I was a dominatrix at one point in my life. And it was just an easy exchange of power.
Can't hear
Dominatrix.
you. No, I'm sorry. Sure everybody hears you.
And for me, it was just an unconscious way of me kind of using whatever I knew, right? Because unconsciously I was torn and I was hurt by what had happened, but I didn't understand what had happened because I thought it was just a recurring nightmare. Because I wasn't talking to anybody about it. How dare I blame the person that had, what had happened with, et cetera, et cetera. So I became celibate. And by becoming celibate, I believe there's an exchange of energy when we're sharing sexually with other people, and even when we're sharing with someone, sitting next to each other, right? So I became celibate to kind of start clearing out my sexual ish. And I moved to Hawaii completely celibate. And this is wild. So I was there for my yoga teacher training. And this is when I was really beginning to trust the voices that were coming, the inner divine guidance that was coming. And in one of my meditations, it said, walk 5 miles barefoot. I was like, I'm in the sticks. They don't let us out till like Sunday morning for maybe 3 hours because we're in an intense, program. The way the universe works, 3 days later, ta-da, you have a surprise
Here's a break.
snorkeling trip, to go on a break, and it's exactly 5 miles from the camp where we were staying. I was like, oh, okay, right? Just trusting what was coming. I went, and everyone was heading on their way back, and I said, you know what, I'm going to walk. I need to walk 5 miles, so Source had said. I'm walking barefoot, right? In the heat, on the concrete, on the right are trees that are beginning to sway, and they're beginning to form into animals, and they're starting to speak to me, right? And on the left, these waves are crashing on this beautiful lava cliff. And I literally felt this pull when I looked over and I heard the crashing of the wave on one of the rocks. And I felt like I was being pulled, right, towards the ocean. And I get to the edge, my feet are right at the edge of the cliff, and I just start crying, hysterical crying. I didn't know what it was. I wasn't really feeling anything, but there was just like this purge of emotion happening. And I look up and I said, if you're fucking real, if you're really here to tell me something, show me a sign, show me something. It was one of those divine moments that I think it was Jim Carrey that had in one of those films, right, where he was kind of developing his relationship with God. And all of a sudden, a massive wave came over. I'm watching the wave come over, wash all my things over, and push me down to the edge of the cliff. My fingers are gripping the edge of the cliff, and I'm seeing like a 40-foot drop into the ocean. Zero fear. Zero fear. And something like opened up in me, and I said, okay, maybe I am open to giving myself permission to being with somebody else right now, to actually sharing my body again. That was 2 years ago. I met a wonderful Hawaiian man who's really helped me understand. Well, we've helped each other to understand what the definition is of a conscious relationship, right? Because we're mirrors for each other, right? Yep. He came to me with his shit. I came to him with my shit, right? Because we all got shit, right? But it's a matter of like understanding that we're here for a purpose together. We're here to help each other heal. Right? I'm here to help myself heal, you're here to help yourself heal, and we're here to kind of walk this journey to really push each other just enough, right? Where we feel that confidence to kind of do what we need to do and also create space for each other. It's a dance, right? What I call conscious relationships, right? And fast forward, I'm working.
Do you charge by the hour?
Great stuff. Yeah.
All right. I thought we were wrapping it up. What the yoni egg practice?
5 minutes.
No, because it's been 5 minutes. No offense, but I have 2 more questions. I want to know about medicinal cannabis, your opinions on that. I want to know when you're doing your podcast, and we need to figure out what this yoni egg practice is.
Okay.
Go.
So fast forward. I'm doing yoni egg practice.
Right? It's like goop, right? You just throw it up your.
Yes. So this is a yoni egg. This is made of jade. You can make it with different crystals.
You made that?
No.
Oh.
I purchased it.
Oh.
From a reputable company called yoniegg.com. And there's a plug. And there's different sizes and different, some folks put a string through it so you actually can like pull it out once you enter it.
Holy shit! You
But
guys are
it's-
what is happening now? This is something that goes in your vagina.
Yes, it does. So what it does is stones give us
I
opportunity
feel like we
to
buried the lead
heal.
somewhere here.
It's chakra therapy for your hoo-ha
All right.
pieces.
Okay.
Yeah, so yoni is a Sanskrit word for
Does
vagina.
this have anything to do with what Blythe Danner's girl was doing there?
Yeah. Gwyneth Paltrow.
Gwyneth Paltrow. Had a
Oh
whole
yeah, she's
thing.
super conscious. She gets it. The whole conscious uncoupling thing that everybody kept making fun of, that's what we call conscious relationships, right?
Yeah.
So what we do with this for women is you create a practice, right? And it's all about tapping into your inner divinity, tapping into your sexual power, because that's where our power really is. But it's been tainted a lot as a collective, like we said before, right? We don't really believe in ourselves. The definition of being sexy is having the right outfit and the right boobs and the right ass and the right this and the right, and it's not really about that. It's really about how we feel and what we portray, you know, when we're exchanging. So you take some time and you get yourself all sexied up, you know, whatever you need, candles, going into a meditation, right? And start touching yourself to kind of start arousing yourself, start recreating your relationship with yourself. Because if we're not divinely, you know, connected to ourselves, how are we going to actually be good in bed with a partner? Right? How are we going to be able to share that with our partner? Right? So you take the egg, you insert it into your vagina, and I always ask folks to start as an overnight.
I always ask
Right?
folks.
Ask my ladies to place it into their vagina overnight and just to let the stone do what it needs to do. And this is a practice that's been going
What
around.
does the stone need to do?
Just
Sounds like a facetious question, but I'm
energies.
curious. Like, what
Yeah.
what is the science? Forgive me, I don't mean
So
science, but
these
what is the
stones-
whatever behind
Each
this?
stone has a different type of energy that it emits.
Each type of
Each type of stone,
okay.
yeah. So this is a jade stone, right? And this is all about like balancing and grounding, right? Really more balancing and bringing up stuff, right? That you need to kind of work through. Rose
It's
quartz.
a kind of crystal healing, right?
Thank you,
Yeah,
crystal.
okay.
That's it. Thank you very much for that. And you just let it do its magic. And I've been doing this work myself now, and it's really opened up those portals in my lower chakras. And I'm
Who
now
needs this? Can I ask you who needs this?
everybody.
Everybody, like all women. No, that's why I'm asking. All women need this, is what you're saying.
So for this particular practice, right? If you're a woman that's not feeling 100% in yourself,
Yeah.
right? You feel there's some sort of blockage within you that's not allowing you to have your voice, not allowing you to be your actual true authentic self.
Perfect.
Right? Men also, there's no stone going up their penis, but there's actual practices that men do to ground their lower chakras as well, because their sexual power has also been tainted.
We'll do that one on another show,
Right,
but for
another
this
show.
one here.
For this one, this is a yoni egg. Yes, I just wanted to share the practice that I'm doing. And then I'm
Yeah.
now creating a program, you know, to help women.
I guess I
be
just don't
guided in
understand
that.
the science of it, or not, I keep saying that word, and this is actually sort of
Yeah.
almost anti-science. I don't understand what is even the belief system behind it. Does this, are you absorbing something from the materials?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it more of a totem that you think about your thoughts attached to that and like they disconnect? Like that's how I use crystals in general. So I can imagine if one was in my pieces, I'd be like, yeah, get rid of all the shame.
I think
Just
of it
meditate on
even there's a lot of sexual things too with different things as a distraction for this is how you get over different blockages, mental blockages.
It reminds me of just a reminder to like focus on that area, like clear that shit out. Like don't hold on to your traumas.
That's
like,
what it is.
Whatever.
It's
Issue
just-
in the tissue.
You're pointing at you're on
Yeah.
the tissue. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and then things surface that you actually need to look at.
Yeah.
And that gives you permission to start.
All right. So
Being
it's
a
an
detached
inside-out
observer.
massage.
Yeah.
Drink a lot of water.
Ooh, I like that.
Okay. All right. I got it.
Drink a lot of water, yeah.
No, I don't mean to. Please, I hope that you know that it's only because of time that it's not that I'm poo-pooing what it is. I'm simply trying to understand. I hope you know it's coming from a curiosity.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
And I think, you know, and I, again, have trouble kind of verbalizing everything because it's more like, just try it. Just try it, right? Just give it a go.
I get stuck
It's
on that
really
a lot. There's a lot of
belief.
things that I'm like, it's belief in sitting with your thoughts. Like if you're not comfortable with what comes up, like that's fine. That's your choice. But you have to know what you're thinking before you can make that decision whether or not you're willing to give it the time and the energy.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, I had no idea that that's what that meant when you said I want to talk about yoni egg practice. But I'm excited for it, and thanks for keeping it in a bag before you put it on the desk there. Medicinal cannabis.
Yes.
Feelings?
Yeah. Love it. It's a plant.
Yeah, you're all for
it. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's natural, right?
Yeah, I've walked my own journeys with ayahuasca and San Pedro.
God, would you come back and talk about that sometime?
Absolutely,
I'd love to know about
medicinal cannabis.
Kava. Do you do kava in Hawaii?
Yeah, I do
that's
kava
nice
as
too.
well. I've done komba, which is from the Amazon. But medicinal cannabis, I think with everything in life, you have to have an intention.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes. Motivations and
Yeah.
intentions. 100%.
Exactly. So if you have the right intention for what you need it for, then kudos, do it. But if you're using it as something to distract you, right,
no
from
bueno.
what you need to do within yourself, exactly, no bueno. So I think that's the conversation that needs to be had.
Yeah.
You know, I know now it's legal here in California. Is that correct?
It's
Ish.
legal.
Yeah, I think so.
Ish.
I mean,
it's-
it's legal, supposedly, right?
It's legal. I still put my own judgment on it because a lot of people I find don't have that purpose of when they use it versus
Right.
I do. So it's like when people see me and they think I'm just a stoner, it's like,
Yeah.
go do your stoner shit somewhere else. Like, I'm not. And I mean that with love and respect. Like, do your thing. But
Yeah.
I'm not doing it to disappear. I literally vape pot to, like...
You actually do it to connect.
To connect, to come back down into my body, to live here, to not dissociate, to rewire so I can walk properly. I'm not like, let's get high and watch a movie.
Yep.
Although that's fun.
And escape this life. Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
opposite.
Yeah.
Which is not easy. And so I understand why people don't want to do it, but don't celebrate it if you're not using it for the right purpose, I don't think.
Yeah, and like I've had my own journey with addiction
Yeah.
as well, you know, with alcohol, and I had a stint with cannabis as well, and I had to redirect that conversation for myself. Right? So I have a handful of clients that actually use cannabis. You know, they take a toke before we actually go into session, and it gives them permission to connect a little more and to dig a little deeper because there's just way too many layers.
I was going to say, if
that are in
someone's not
front
good
of
with
them.
letting go and getting through them, then that may help a little bit. It
Oh,
assists.
yeah, absolutely.
Because they can relax a little
Yeah,
bit.
and if you're high anxiety as well, you know, instead of taking that pill, take a choke, right?
Right.
So the judgment that there is right now with cannabis, you know, it's a shame, and I think it goes back to what happened with drugs. I mean, with cigarettes and alcohol, right? In the Prohibition era, like it's just to be taxed. I mean, but that's a whole other conversation with
Yeah,
itself.
those are two
right?
different things. But all right, when are you going to do your podcast? You and Kaz, we're going to start a podcast.
Yeah.
This is me putting
That's
pressure on you.
I
now,
love
so.
it. I love it. I need the pressure. I don't know. We actually, him and I have to have that communication because I kind of went on my own little journey for a little while.
Right.
Because I was recreating the work that I was doing. But yeah, Kaz, if you're listening out there,
I think it's safe to say.
we're doing the show.
And I'm going to say, get on it because what I love about us is the contrast of what we think and talk about. And I think you and Kaz have something similar.
Yeah.
So it'd be great to hear that discourse.
And I also love the opposites that we
Yeah.
have, you know, as well. So yeah.
You guys are both so high energy. I wonder how you could contain it. It's almost like,
I know, like, wow.
yeah, just use one microphone, clear across the room. You'll be
I think
fine.
it's been holding us back that we're not technology So we don't
You
really
know what?
know how to run the whole
This is an issue
technology.
with us as well. I want
Yeah.
him to do some correspondence stuff with us,
Yeah.
and he's doing some stuff, but somehow getting the file from his non-iPhone. Like when he plays it on his, it's perfect HD, and then when he sends it to me, it looks like it was taken with 16 Polaroids in a flip book. I mean, it's really, really ridiculous.
And everything is timing too, because it's so funny. I went to visit him one weekend, right? And he got suddenly ill. And the purpose of me visiting him for that weekend was for us to really sit down and like hone in on the topics and, you know, figure everything out. And he got so ill that he wasn't even able to
I remember that, and he never gets
function, right?
sick too.
So we kind of like took a step back, and I believe in the signs. I believe in not forcing anything that doesn't
Yeah,
fit.
it's
Letting
timing.
it just happen when it shall. So thank you for that reminder.
All right.
We'll
Well,
get
that
on
may
it.
be then maybe I am the universe checking in with you.
Yes, thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for being here. Thanks for
Awesome.
coming. How
Thank
long are you in LA?
I'm here till Friday. I'm
Okay.
heading
Are
back
you
out to
taking
Hawaii.
sessions while you're here or anything?
I do my work primarily through video, so I have clients all around the world.
All right. Well, how do people find you?
faithramirez.com is my website. And
Typical spelling?
Typical spelling, F-A-I-T-H, Ramirez, R-A-M-I-R-E-Z. And I really promote having a conversation one-on-one first. I give a complimentary 30-minute consultation just to kind of see where they are and if
Via
they're actually
phone?
ready to do the work. We do phone, we do video. Yeah.
Oh, well, like a FaceTime,
FaceTime.
Like
Skype.
I do a Zoom. I have a Zoom platform, a Zoom
Gotcha.
room, and everything that we
That's smart.
we converse in. Yeah, because it's super easy. You download it.
If you
yeah.
have all that already, I don't understand where the podcast issue comes in. Is it just Kaz needs to have that same
well,
thing?
he's there. He's in New York. I'm in Hawaii.
Yeah, I know, but if you
Yeah.
have the setup that you can already do this digital communication, that's.
Duh, you're right. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
I just
yeah.
if that's a hurdle, it's not a
Yeah.
hurdle. I just want
But
to
then it
point
just
that
goes
out.
to show how we get in our own way.
That's what I
right?
mean. If that's a
Yeah,
hurdle for you,
yeah.
I'm just showing you it's not a hurdle.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Podcast. And I don't even remember we were going to elevate to educate. That's what we were talking about.
You
naming
guys,
it.
you
Yeah,
had a
educate to
difference
elevate,
of a-
elevate to educate. Yeah, the
Yeah,
E
yeah.
squared. So.
All right, well, you guys should
Yeah.
do it. I
Please.
I have learned so much doing this. I can't even begin to tell you how much it's helped us in our relationship, just because this is a place for us to communicate and then have a record of it to show how we both communicate. And, you know, it's great that we're both looking at each other enough to know the signs to look for. Like, oh, okay, I don't like that I say an awful lot, and she doesn't like that she uses her arms a lot. You know what I mean? I highly encourage anyone else to do the same thing for the same reason that I believe it will make you or whoever does it a better person.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's awesome. Thank you very much for being
Thank
here. I
you
hope you
for
come back. I
having
want to hear about
me.
ayahuasca and about the male yoni egg practices, the type, whatever the.
I'm working with the women first, and then we go to the men.
Yeah, I just want to know. Well, whatever it would be. Who knows?
And I'm actually
People need to know.
organizing a retreat in Hawaii for women and for couples. So stay tuned. Yeah.
And on your website, they'll
Yeah,
find
on the
that.
website. Yeah.
All right,
Cool.
good.
To have you guys present too for that couples retreat.
Where is it?
Hawaii.
Oh, but, on Oahu?
I'm not sure yet. I'm
Okay.
kind of letting the guides.
Kauai.
Let
then,
me know
you
where I need
Sounds
to
like
go.
maybe.
Well,
That's where my tether
ideally,
is. My
what
earth tether.
Really? What I would like to manifest is a retreat where we're hopping islands, because each island represents a different chakra. So we're working on each chakra as we're going through
Interesting.
all of the islands of Hawaii. So, universe, if you're listening,
Keep us posted, man.
absolutely.
Mrs. Ryan, tomorrow we have Winston
Winston.
Bird. Winston Bird, fabulous musician, will be here tomorrow. Winston Bird.
Awesome.
And Monday we've got Vincent Martella. I'm
So
very
excited
excited
to talk
about
to him.
Vincent Martella. You may not know him by name. You would definitely know him as Phineas of Phineas and Ferb. He was on Everybody Hates Chris, which is how I know him, and he was like my little
Same.
brother. Essentially, so he grew up around me, and now he's a man, and he's acting, and he's doing voiceovers and
Yeah.
other stuff, and he's going to be here to tell us what he's up to.
Can't wait.
So that's going to be exciting. I love you, Mrs. Ryan. We love you. Thank you for
Thank
being here. Thank you
you.
for being
Thank
with
you.
us at home. Thank you for spending time with us. We really appreciate it. It's kind of
Pretty
kind of
rad.
nice. Yeah, I'm so happy to be back. I've been saying that every day, and it's kind of like
It
we've
becomes
missed
more
you.
true
We have
every
missed
day.
you. Yeah. You know?
It's nice.
All right, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Thanks.
Cool. I need a timer.
That's all right.
Wow. Sorry, dude. I have like